So, a terrific man. He's a gentleman. He's a great marketer. And he's also terrific because of all the time constraints and the great speakers we've had today. John has also kind of enabled a little switching of slot. But now we've got somebody really special. John Costello is the CMO's CMO. John Costello has run operations for Office Depot, CMO for Dunkin' Donuts, for Yahoo. He's got a tremendous experience, and now he sits on the board of one of our members, a terrific company, XAD. So he's keenly involved in location and what's going on here. In fact, last night at our special VIP dinner, we had given John the CMO Innovator Award, and there we've got Kat Greenleaf, who's the star of Talk Stoop and Taxis, and nice award. John, why don't you come up and say hi? John Costello. Thanks so much, pal.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Take it away, pal.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to be here. As some of you know, I recently retired, and I was at the dinner last night, and they said, what's the difference between working and retired? And I said, you can wear jeans to Michael's and still get in. So it worked out well. You know, we're living through an incredible time of disruption. I think there's more opportunity today than ever before, but the rate of change is faster than ever before. And what I found is, working at different companies, and most recently Dunkin' Brands, is that you can really get caught up in the hype and you can get caught up in the tactics. And yet what I found in terms of navigating these crazy times is, in some cases, the fundamentals of driving brands and driving profitable growth haven't changed. And a lot of it is, how do you separate the hype from what really works? And what I want to do is just share with you a few things I've learned along the way, in hopes that they give you some guidance as you navigate these exciting times where video literally is everywhere. Like many of the other speakers, I too found my picture in the back of a cab. I learned it when someone called up and said, you know, I saw your picture in the back of a New York taxi cab the other day, and I thought it felt like I was, you know, America's Most Wanted. And then I realized it was just part of Barry's outreach. The first lesson, is get your brand right first. It's amazing how many brands I see that are struggling, and they say, well, I need an exciting video. I need something to go viral, without really getting your brand proposition first, which, you know, brand differentiation, which I think answers the most important question of all, which is, why should I choose your brand over all my other choices? And it's amazing how many people look for a viral video or video everywhere without having a good answer to that question. You know, if we had more time today, I'd ask each of you to list your 3 favorite brands. More often than not, they would stand for something very simple. And you could answer in 1 or 2 questions, why should I choose your brand over all others? And I've put some examples here, but before you start exploding video everywhere, I would ask each of you to ask yourself and your teams the question of, can I answer this question of why I should choose your brand? You know, at Dunkin', it's very simple. America runs on Dunkin' is more than a tagline. It was Dunkin's brand purpose before brand purpose was a buzzword. Dunkin' is very much for people on the run. And so Dunkin's purpose is get you going in the morning and keep you running all day long. And that has really provided a rallying cry for everything. So once you get your brand proposition, I think the second is be agile or be left behind. You know, change is really happening faster than ever before. And I think it's also changed, whether you call it content or video or advertising, it's changed the way we communicate from broadcasting out to more of a dialogue. You know, we know all the facts about how consumer engagement is changing, but to me, one of the most important is that consumers expect brands to be listening today, because I think content and video and advertising today is more of a dialogue than it is broadcasting out. You know, an example here from Dunkin' Brands is a campaign called #MyDunkin'. You know, typically someone would produce a really exciting ad and then find a way to blast that out on social media to get everybody talking about your ads. In this case, The Dunkin' Brands marketing team and Hill Holliday, Dunkin's agency, took the exact opposite approach, which is let's go to social media, find out what people are saying about Dunkin' Brands, find those people, and turn tweets into video that would be everywhere. An example of listening to customers. And so let me show you a couple examples of starting with the video first.
Every a cappella rehearsal needs Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee to get me through.
Hashtag MyDunkin.
Nothing gives you a boost like delicious Dunkin' iced coffee. Share your story. Hashtag MyDunkin.
Hoy por primera vez en muchísimo tiempo vamos a surfear descansados. Es hora de un café de Dunkin' a las 6. Hashtag MyDunkin.
Café de Dunkin', el rico y suave sabor que te encanta. Comparte tu historia. Hashtag MyDunkin.
So the last person is Mauricio, who's a bilingual surfer who lives in Manhattan. And I figure anybody who's brave enough to surf around Manhattan deserves to be in a Dunkin' ad. You know, the next interesting exhibit is how do you create video everywhere without producing a single video? And how do you do that with a budget that's measured in tens of thousands of dollars as opposed to millions of dollars? The example here is the Art Institute of Chicago, which had a blockbuster exhibit of having 3 of Van Gogh's most famous paintings together for the first time. Pro bono doesn't have a lot of budget. Theirs was literally in tens of thousands. What they did, in this case it was Leo Burnett Chicago, is they used art students and they created a life-size replica of Van Gogh's bedroom in Chicago, and they rented it out on Airbnb for $10 a night. It sold out immediately, and of course, in a world of selfies, guess what everybody did? Everybody went into that room and they posted videos of themselves sleeping in Van Gogh's bedroom. Some cases where there were a couple of people that actually dressed up as Van Gogh, which was a little creepy. There was other people who did, you know, while they were filming themselves, did some strange things, but look at the numbers. I mean, yeah, we won't go into that. I would encourage you to go to YouTube and look at the examples, but you know, 3.5 billion impressions, $8.5 million of video everywhere without, in this case, the Art Institute of Chicago and Leo Burnett Chicago producing any video themselves. So I think it shows to me the power of a big idea and the power of a concept, and also the power of us thinking broadly about video everywhere. It isn't just a matter of us producing the video and spreading it around the world. You've seen all of the statistics on mobile. There's more mobile phones than ever before. You know, we all check our phones 150 times a day. This is probably one of the few conferences where I'm not offended if you're checking your phone. But I think also mobile provides the opportunity for real-time one-to-one marketing, real-time one-to-one engagement of taking that video and making it more than just advertising, but really making it an opportunity to interact. You know, I'll use another Dunkin' example. When we rolled out the Dunkin' mobile app, which today has over 18 million downloads, the first thing we put on it was a store locator. Store locator isn't the sexiest thing in the world, but for a brand on the run, it was very powerful because we were listening not to the hype, to what consumers told us. Now, if you're on the go, what are you worried about? You're worried about traffic. So we did a partnership with Waze, which is a social GPS, and guess what happens if you're stuck in traffic and want a cup of coffee? Dunkin' pops up. But here again, you know, listen, we had payments from day one. I'll talk about on-the-go ordering in a while, and DD Perks loyalty. So I think particularly with video everywhere, you know, one of the biggest things I've learned is listen to consumers and not the hype. And if you really provide value to consumers, you'll end up with something far more effective than if you're just trying to chase the latest trend. You know, the DD Perks loyalty program is another example, and it's, you know, in a world where we've gone to video everywhere, but we've also gone to content everywhere. And what, you know, the Dunkin' loyalty program does is engage one-to-one relationships with consumers. But here again, an important part of this, and this shows the journey that Beth took, one of the customers. This is a real person. But one of the things we learned about in talking to customers is they not only wanted personal messaging and personal video and things like that, but they also wanted to see national orders and what everybody was getting. So here again, in a world where content is everywhere, there's an opportunity to get lost, I think, in chasing everything versus coming down to the very simple and asking yourself and your customers, what do they really want? You'll hear more about this. Barry mentioned XAD, and you're going to hear from XAD's Chief Product Officer a little bit later. I think that mobile will turn out to be the most transformative marketing device that any of us will see in our careers, both video and non-video. And I think location has the potential to be as significant part of location as anything. A big part of marketing in the digital world in recent years has been getting the right message to the right person at the right time, but also in the right location. And I think what it does is offers the potential for this one-to-one dialogue, whether it's video or content or whatever you want to call it, to be even more dramatic and even more powerful. And so what I would do is, encourage you. I think, and again, if you think about it, mobile is the most personal of all devices, and bringing that communication at the point of location, I think, has the potential to drive relevance greater than any of us have ever seen. An example of this is Dunkin's on-the-go ordering, which they rolled out earlier this year. And again, think about the power of a brand on the go. You heard the Sonic presentation earlier of saying you're always first in line at Sonic because of their unique drive-in setup. Well, think about Dunkin'. How can you speed up the process? And Dunkin' really is known for speed, but think about the benefit. If you're on the way to work, whether you're walking or driving, and you have a favorite offer, what could be more useful to consumers than letting you place your order before you get there? Then the question is, how do you communicate it? And at one point you do a 15-second ad saying, let's introduce new on-the-go ordering. Dunkin', and in this case their partner Digitas, took a video everywhere approach and said, let's start with a big concept, cut through the clutter, but create not just an ad, but also create video that could go everywhere to get out the news that in Dunkin' you can now order in advance. So let's take a look.
America runs on Dunkin'. But since there's often a line in store, we looked for a way to get people their donuts faster. So we launched Dunkin's On-the-Go app, which lets you order ahead, then pick up your donuts without waiting in line. And to demonstrate the speed, we produced the world's fastest Dunkin' run, a campaign best described by these guys. We partnered with Ellen Brennan, the world's fastest female wingsuit athlete, who would grab her order at 120 miles per hour.
When I got approached by Dunkin' Donuts asking if it was possible to grab a bag in flight, I was like, that's a completely crazy idea, and I want to do that.
But even the world's #1 female wingsuit athlete needed 8 weeks of practice tests before she and her safety team agreed to attempt it. We then built the world's first cliffside Dunkin' Donuts store at 5,000 feet, setting up what no wingsuit athlete had ever before accomplished, grabbing an object in mid-flight. Ellen would jump from 8,300 feet, then, flying at 120 miles per hour, swoop down to within 12 feet of the ground and grab her order. And after some near misses, she nailed it. We launched content across multiple platforms, including a behind-the-stunt film and a 360 virtual reality video, letting viewers imagine themselves as wingsuit athletes flying alongside Ellen. This integrated campaign got over 11 million views in just the first 2 weeks, gaining a 44% increase in new app users. And on-the-go ordering became the most talked about and successful operational change to Dunkin' Donuts since the drive-thru.
The power of a big idea and also the power of really thinking about video in different ways. Next point is innovate. Don't be afraid to take risks. I mean, I think you saw that, with Dunkin' on-the-go ordering. You saw that with the Van Gogh B&B, which was really out of the box, I should say, out of the room thinking for an art institute marketing idea. But I think part of that is how do you create a culture that does that, and how do you go away from the unexpected? Again, I'll use another Dunkin' example. Iced beverages and iced coffee is a huge, rapidly growing business for Dunkin'. Every summer there's a major effort to launch this, and product innovation has been a key aspect of Dunkin's success. And there's also a real history of very successful product-driven ideas. Come in and try this new beverage, come in and try this new sandwich, and it works very well. But the team, and in this case, again, working with Hill Holliday, said, let's try something different. Dunkin' has relationships with a lot of athletes at the local level, in this case, Gronkowski and David Ortiz, Big Papi. And again, rather than having the standard, ad that says, I love iced coffee, you should try it too, decided to develop a video everywhere approach that really started out with video everywhere, of which conventional ads were a small part, and as you can see here, generated record results, did a range of videos across a number of different genres, all as music videos, and I'll show you the Latin version of this.
It's Papi time. Yes, here it comes. Me estoy enamorando de Dunkin' Iced. Me estoy enamorando de Dunkin' Iced. Fue amor a primer sorbito. Fue amor a primer sorbito.
It's a love song about iced coffee.
Me estoy enamorando de Dunkin' Iced. Me estoy enamorando de Dunkin' Iced. Fue amor a primer sorbito. Fue amor a primer sorbito.
That was a love song about iced coffee in Spanish.
I'm sure you're listening for what's the great strategic insight there. The insight is to take risks. It was a huge success. We also learned that Big Papi Ortiz can actually sing and Gronkowski can actually dance. These are on YouTube. There's a country western version and some others. But again, it's just a way of, as you think about a video everywhere, how do you create an environment that your team and your agency are not afraid to try risks? Which brings me to my last point, which is you really need to get a great team and a culture that's pro-risk. At a dinner last night, some people were asking me, what is my point of view on what's the key to success in marketing? And it's something I learned many years ago when I started my career at Procter & Gamble, and that is surround yourself with people smarter and more talented than you are, and then get out of their way and create an environment where they can do their best work. And I think that's even more true today, that as technology is exploding, as video is exploding, it's more important that you really surround yourself with the right team and that you create an environment where that team is not afraid to try different things. So kind of wrapping up, in my mind, some 5 simple things I've learned. I sometimes feel I spent the first half of my career developing very sophisticated concepts, and the second half of my career boiling it down to simple things. But number 1, have you gotten your brand message right first? What I found, unless you have that right, nothing else matters. Are you really adapting to this changing consumer engagement world where video is everywhere? Put mobile first and best. I really do believe mobile combined with location will transform the way we engage with consumers. Innovate, don't be afraid to try risks. Not everything is going to work, and it's important that you really stretch your team's ability to find out what works and doesn't, and finally, build a great team. So as I wrap up, I'll share with you some results, or a quote that that someone gave me many years ago that I think is more relevant today than ever before. And that is, if you're doing business today like you were last week, competition is gaining on you. If you're doing business today like you were last month, chances are competition is beating you. And if you're doing business today like you were last year, you may well be out of business and don't know it yet. So with that, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the conference.
That was great, pal. That was really wonderful. What a pro. He actually ended exactly on time. You really are a pro. John, you talked about innovation and not being afraid to take risks. And for those of you that may know John or know of his career, he has really lived by that. We see so many executives these days that are afraid to take risks. Inertia abounds in the marketing and advertising world. How many people have you all met that say, well, the brand managers, I've spoken to many brand managers, if I just buy network television, I'll never get fired, the same way I did it for the last year. You have taken calculated risks, you've succeeded, you haven't been afraid to do that, and because of that, you've been an amazing inspiration to your teams and people around you, which is why you got the award.
Yeah.
And now you're kind of moving into the next stage of your life. Two questions, how will the youth of America or others continue to thrive on your knowledge and inspiration? And two, how will you, evidently you've gained from inspiring people, how will you gain in this next stage of your life from doing more thematically similar?
Yeah, it's a great question. So as some of you know, I retired from Dunkin this past summer. What I want to do is continue to give back. And so I'm advising companies either as a board and as an advisor. And then I also mentor some young folks.
Oh, great.
And I don't talk too much about that, but particularly very entrepreneurial young folks. And it's just exciting. I think there's more opportunity than, again, any time, even when I started my career. I mean, the ability to start your own company, develop your own idea. I'm actually, and I won't get into too many details, I'm actually advising a young man who just graduated from high school and turned down his admission to Harvard to launch a business.
Wow, great.
And think about how many people would have the courage to do that. Don't know if it'll succeed or not, but so I think what I'm going to try and do is spend more time mentoring people and giving back to them.
Wow, isn't that great? A man who's giving back, mentoring. He's a great mentor and a great speaker. Let's give John a hand.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, John.
Thank you.